made the woman who raised us finally walk away for good. Nobody in our family ever called Renata just our older sister. She became our mother the week ours walked out when Renata was 19. She taught my brother to tie a necktie for job interviews, sat awake through my panic attacks at 2 a.m., and somehow held 3 grieving kids together while she was barely more than a kid herself. But last Christmas broke something that never went back together. Renata had been trying to adopt for 4 years. At 41, after 2 failed placements, an agency finally matched her with a newborn. But the adoption fees, legal costs, and home study updates came to $18,000 due within 6 weeks. She called us all to her apartment after dinner, hands trembling as she said, "I've never asked you 3 for a single thing. I'm asking now." Everyone hugged her. My brother Theo said, "You're finally getting your family. Whatever you need." My sister Priya cried and said she'd already picked out a godmother dress. Our cousin Marcus, who Renata had basically raised too, promised to organize a group fund by the following Friday. Renata lit up. She made a shared spreadsheet. If the 4 of us split it evenly, $4,500 each, she could send the deposit before the agency's deadline. She texted us nursery photos, name ideas, a countdown. She asked Priya to be in the delivery room. Then Theo put a deposit on a lake house. Priya and her fiance flew to Cabo for a baby moon of their own. Marcus leased a truck. Renata saw every post. She didn't say a word. The deposit was due on a Friday at noon. I got to the agency office at 11:40 with $1,500, everything I had. Renata was already there in her good coat, purse clutched in both hands. "They're transferring the money this morning, right?" she kept asking. Noon came, 12:30, 1 o'clock. She called each of them, straight to voicemail, one after another. The office closed at 2. I held her hand while she asked the coordinator for one more day. That night, Theo texted the group chat, "Can't do it, water heater broke, bad timing." Priya, "So sorry, the trip wiped us out." Marcus sent a single thumbs down emoji. Renata typed back 3 words, "Okay, got it." Later, I found her sitting on the floor of the half-painted nursery, a stack of onesies still in tissue paper, sobbing into one that read, "Chosen." She didn't hear me in the doorway. "I really thought they'd show up," she whispered when I sat beside her. 3 months later, on the anniversary of our mother's death, the one night we all still gathered, Renata brought it up again. She'd found a second agency with a payment plan, needing only $2,000 from each of us this time. "I'm running out of windows," she said. "I've never asked for anything else." Priya scoffed. "Renata, maybe this just isn't your path. You've never even had a kid of your own before. Why start now at 41? Theo nodded. "You basically already raised 3 kids. Isn't that enough?" Marcus added. "Kinda selfish, honestly, doing this alone at your age." Renata went very still. "Selfish," she repeated, quiet, then louder. She got up and came back with a shoebox none of us had ever seen. She started laying out letters on the table. "Theo, your discharge day from rehab. Read what you wrote me." Theo's face drained as she read it aloud. That he owed her his life. That he'd pay back every cent someday. She pulled another. "Priya, the night your ex hit you and I drove 4 hours to get you. You said you'd never forget what I gave up." Another. "Marcus, the summer I paid your bail so you wouldn't lose the scholarship. You said I was the only mother you ever had." Her voice went flat and even. "I dropped out of nursing school to raise you 3. Worked 2 jobs and skipped my own 20s. Missed my own wedding invitation because I couldn't afford the dress and didn't tell anyone. Spent my 30s making sure every one of you landed on your feet." She pulled out a folder of receipts. $190,000 over 22 years. Not counting the nights I didn't sleep, the men I chased off, the birthdays I skipped so you could have yours. Priya opened her mouth. Renata didn't let her. "I paid your rent for 2 years so you could finish school. I co-signed your loan, Theo, when no one else would. I sat outside the courthouse with you, Marcus, when you were too ashamed to face it alone." She gathered the letters back into the box. "Keep your money. Keep your distance, too. I'm done being the one everyone leans on and no one shows up for." She looked at each of us in turn. "I was your mother. I just never got to be anyone's." That was 7 months ago. Theo's daughter turned 1 last week. Renata wasn't there. She finally brought her son home in March, on her own, with no one's help but mine.